I'm Nikki. Welcome to episode 25 of 6 for 60, the show where I tell you 6 things that I love about Star Trek in honor of the 60th anniversary of the franchise. So, tonight, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about questionable actions in Star Trek. Now, of course, almost every episode of every iteration has some type of questionable action by Federation captains or crew members. Otherwise, how are we advancing the plot? So it's very common. These were the first 6 that came to my mind when I thought about it. Please add in the comments your favorites, whether you agree or disagree with me, if, the captains were really wrong in any of the ones that I list. I, as always, love to get input from you guys. So, number 1, TOS, you always start with the classics, season 1, episode 23, A Taste of Armageddon. So, in this, the crew is at this planet in this system. They've been warned multiple times. There are all sorts of buoys and messages, telling ships not to come into this system, to stay away. Well, we have an ambassador on board who decides, I think it's Ambassador Fox, he decides he knows better than everybody else, and they go in and end up being killed in this war that's going on. So these 2 planets decided, because this war's been going on for hundreds of years, and they decide that the civilized way to have war is to not actually blow each other up. That way their art and culture and everything continues to survive. They have the computers calculating the damage done from their computer hits, and then people voluntarily report to disintegrators and kill themselves. And Kirk is just like, this is absolutely ridiculous. He destroys the computers on the planet and essentially forces, we think, forces the 2 planets to have a discussion and end the war. The problem is, we never see what happens. The episode ends and we don't know if Kirk started a real, actual destructive war between these 2 planets. There's no follow-up. So that's always a good one for me. It would have been wonderful if Lower Decks, since their second contact, if they had done a follow-up. And hopefully, I'm still holding out hope that we're going to get more Lower Decks in the future. So, yeah, it would be great if they did a follow-up to see what happened. Okay, number 2. And you all, I'm sure you already know where I'm going. I mean, honestly, like most of the captains, Cisco had a lot for me to choose from. So number 2 is DS9, season 5, episode 9, For the Uniform. So when I was just out looking for fun pictures and whatnot, I came across a Reddit post where folks were discussing this. So I'll tell you my thoughts on For the Uniform. I was, very surface level. Cisco had just kind of lost it a little bit. And when he started bombing the Maquis settlements, he did give them advance warning. So they did have time to evacuate. But it was really, I'm going to say, not Federation-like for him to do this. I mean, his second in command, third in command, fourth, fifth, everybody on the Defiant Bridge was looking at him like, this man has lost his mind. But, and I'll post the link to the Reddit discussion where this individual who has since removed their name, so I can't give them credit, said, well, let's hold up on this. Cisco had already been kind of accepting to a degree of Cal and some other folks, joining the Maquis, Riker's twin, clone, transporter clone, joining the Maquis. So he understood what the Maquis, what they were fighting for, why they were fighting. He understood why folks in the Federation were really dissatisfied with that situation between the Federation of Cardassians and the Maquis. But the betrayal by Edison and the fact that Edison seemed to kind of outdo him at every turn, the writer gave their rationale as to why maybe it wasn't really, really personal. That he was making moves that seemed extreme, but they weren't personal, and they weren't personal towards Eddington. Whereas my initial response is, he's just kind of lost it about Eddington. So let me know what you think about that one in the comments, and if you perchance read the little Reddit post, whether or not you agree with that writer. Okay, number 3. DS9 again, season 6, episode 19, In the Pale Moonlight. I don't even need to get pictures for this one because I bet as soon as I said it, or maybe even when I said this is going to be the topic for tonight, maybe that image came to your mind, the classic with Cisco holding the glass up to the, breaking that fourth wall and talking directly to the camera. So again, I probably don't even need to chat about this one because it is so well known. The Federation is losing the war against the Dominion. They really need the Romulans to join in. Nobody can think of a way to get the Romulans to participate. And then Garrick comes up with a plan. And so they fake some data, kill the Romulan who's supposed to be taking the fake data back, and they do just enough damage to the hollow recording to make it believable, because they knew that undamaged rod would not pass scrutiny. So it's a brilliant plan. Left a lot of dead people, though. The guy who created the hollow program, the poor Romulan who came to get it and review it, probably all of his assistants on the ship with him. There are a lot of dead folks in the wake of this. Oh, and Cisco had to pay Quark a bribe as well. So, Cisco has just done all sorts of things in this episode, and he's, running dialogue internally, but we get to participate in it, about why he did it. At the end, he does say, I think I can live with it. But he broke a lot of his own personal rules and kind of smudged his integrity a bit. But in the end, it was beneficial for the Federation. So, number 4, Enterprise, season 3, episode 19, Damage. Now, I originally was not a big Enterprise fan, but about on the third rewatch, really started to connect more. And then, of course, the writing got much better as the seasons progressed. So in Damage, poor Archer, he's been captured. His ship is beat to hell by the Xindi, the reptilian branch of that species. And we've got a bunch of dead crew members, people sick in sick bay, and it looks like they are down for the count. And then they run across, I believe the aliens are called, got a note here, Illyrians. And they beam over and take their warp core. Now, they do leave them some supplies in exchange, but essentially they're being stranded 3 years from home, 3 light years from home. And well, it's going to take them 3 years to get home. And they're almost defenseless. And Archer's just like, I'm sorry, I had no other choice. So there's a lot to weigh in that episode. You know, Archer could have just headed back home. There were, at that point, I believe, other Federation starships. Well, excuse me, because we weren't the Federation at that point. There were other starships available. And, you know, we didn't have all the rules yet. Like I said, we weren't the Federation. We didn't have a prime directive. He was just out there on his own. And he made a choice. He was going to complete his mission by any means possible. So, you know, questionable, not questionable. He didn't really have any rules to violate at that point. He's just winging it. So, and he did leave some supplies. So I'm going to give Archer a pass kind of for this one. Let me know in the comments if you agree or don't agree. So here, number 5 for me is TNG Season 7, Episode 13, Homeward, where Worf's brother, we got rules now, violates the Prime Directive by saving the, and I probably will mangle the name, Barallans. So he's been there studying these folks. I think the sun's going supernova or something's happening. They're all going to die. And Picard is just like, hey, they are a pre-warp civilization. We're not supposed to be talking to these folks. So it's sad they're going to die, but they're just going to die. Come on, we're taking you off the planet and we're going on about our business. Well, Worf's brother creates a holodeck program, and he's convinced these folks that they're going to go into the caves and survive the bad weather that's coming, and has them in the holodeck and wants to transport them to another planet that he's already found that is very, very similar to their own. Well, there's a lot going on in this episode because I understand the Prime Directive, but Picard is just like, we're going to let these folks die. I feel like they could have just sedated everybody, put them in stasis, and taken them to another planet. You know, there were a lot of options, I feel. There had to be some flexibility in the Prime Directive other than just letting, you know, whole civilizations die. So that's my first issue. Questionable action there. Of course, Worf's brother, you know, he's out there breaking the Prime Directive. And also, you know, married one of the natives. But there's a lot going on in this episode, and it's towards the end of TNG, so you know the episodes were much better. So you know, let me know in the comments. Do you think Worf's brother, and I should know his name, I don't remember, and Picard, you know, who had the bigger violation? Who had the bigger questionable response? I definitely would say it was Picard, even though he was following the rules officially. You just can't let folks die. Not like that. Just wiping out a whole civilization, that doesn't seem right to me. But anyway, here we go with number 6. And it's TNG again, season 1, episode 8, Justice. I've talked about this before. I've talked about season 1 of TNG multiple times, didn't care for it, still don't care for it, cannot watch it enough times to ever make me care for it. And in this one, Picard violates every rule, all the rules, to save Wesley from being punished, because on this particular planet, any rule breaking, the penalty is death. So Wesley's out there playing around, he steps in some flowers, and they're going to kill him for it. So, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, why in the heck was Wesley down there? It's first contact. Why are you taking this goofball down there? They also, well, it's not technically first contact, because they do know, they've talked, because I think at one point Deanna Troy says something like, we had no idea about their legal system or something. So they have been there, they've done some research, but somehow managed to miss this huge point. But anyway, hate the episode. Absolutely ridiculous to me. Let me know if you like it, if you enjoyed it, if you think it was reasonable. Let me know in the comments. And then I'll throw in a bonus, and my editor slash producer slash sister will probably kill me because I didn't do any documentation for this. Janeway, when she kills Tuvix. So I don't even have the episode up here, the episode numbers. But, everybody talks about this. I am going to side with Janeway, because while Tuvix was a new creation and a unique being in his own right and did have a right to live, he did not have the right to essentially kill 2 other people to ensure his survival. So that's just from my own personal viewpoint, but also from a personal standpoint for Janeway, she needed Tuvok, not just professionally as her weapons officer, but as her friend. She was really alone, and while she did talk to Chakotay, it wasn't the same thing as the relationship she had with Tuvok. So I think for her own peace of mind, for her own sanity, she needed Tuvok back. So I'm going to give Janeway a pass. So those are my thoughts. I know we could talk about probably 60% of all episodes and movies. And we would find some questionable actions by our captains, definitely by the crew, to discuss. But these were kind of the big ones that came to my mind. So let me know what you think about these 6 and the bonus in the comments. And as always, dear friends, live long and prosper, and try not to violate too many Federation principles while you're out and about and make questionable decisions.